Welcome to the Startup Dentist Podcast. I'm your host, Steven Trutter. After over 800 plus successful dental startups. Welcome back to the show, everybody. Super excited for today's episode. If you are an associate thinking about practice ownership, and one of the big things that you're focused on is maybe even buying a practice. And I know this is the Startup Dentist Podcast, but recently I talked about acquisitions and how there's a lot of similarities between acquisitions and startups. And more importantly, when you're buying a practice, it's not just about the transaction. And it's not just about like on Friday you close and Monday you know how to own a practice. But more importantly, to understand the proper steps so that you can take a practice, successfully transition it, impart your vision, and truly own a practice with confidence. So check out my most recent episode where I talk about some of the common pitfalls that I see over the last 2 decades that I've been a part of acquisition. So check out that episode. Today, we're diving into a topic that almost every startup dentist and their spouse can relate to, but very few people actually openly talk about. And it's about how to launch your dental practice and how it can have an effect, and I hope a positive effect on your marriage. So when you're in dental school or you're in your associate position, the dream of ownership feels exciting. There's freedom, there's control, the ability to build your ideal practice. But once you step into the startup world, the reality hits hard. Long hours, financial stress, the emotional ups and downs, the real strain at home. So if you're thinking about starting your own practice, then this episode is definitely for you. So the emotional, the financial, and the relational impact of starting your own dental practice and what couples can do to survive it and come out stronger. So let's begin here because I've got 2 special guests that are going to share their journey. They did disclose to me that they're still wearing wedding bands. So they've gone through the startup journey and they're coming out on the other end of this. So I have here, I'm proud to introduce a graduate of Ideal Practices, Dr. Dan Denowitz, and his lovely wife, Michelle. So Dan, Michelle, thank you for joining here. They are the owners of Voorhees Pediatric Dentistry in Voorhees, New Jersey. He does have blue hair. He'll tell you more about why he has blue hair. I am not surprised that Dan has blue hair. So
Me either.
I'm super excited to have you both here. So how are you both doing today?
Great. Thank you so much for having us, Steve.
Thank
And
you.
I've never heard a voice that was more apt for podcasting than
Yeah,
yours.
really.
Your voice is like quintessential podcasting voice.
Well, you know, I've always wanted to do radio announcing. No, I never did. But, you know, it's like having a good microphone definitely helps out with that.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but great to hear from you guys. All right. So here's the reality. You're not just an associate, but now you're the CEO. You're a marketer. You're a recruiter. And you still have to be a human being with a family. So Dan, Michelle, like walk us through like a little bit of that journey of like, okay, all wearing these different hats, but tell us a little bit about even your startup journey. And we were talking offline about like the beginning, the before, the kind of the middle. So kind of give us that beginning part, if you would.
So yeah, being a dental associate, I'm not going to say it's easy, but it's typically very like a singular role. Like you go to work, 9 to 5, whatever your hours are, and you do what you got to do. You go home and you don't think about it after usually.
Yeah.
Since the day that we initiated doing our startup with Ideal, there was very, very instantly that feeling that we knew we were going to be wearing multiple hats every day. And working with Ideal, and that was 18 months leading up to opening day. It was very much like a boot camp that prepared us for that feeling, and so it prepared us for wearing all the hats of being a practice owner. It prepared Michelle and I think, for the realities of practice ownership, what we'd expect, how it would affect our personal and family life. But it gave us that insight going forward to be able to plan for that rather than just kind of stepping into it and like, let's see what happens. Like, we were able to be more
Yeah. Yeah, love that. And Michelle, what's your role? Like, are you in the practice? So like, there's always like, do spouses work in practices?
Yeah.
Should you work in practices?
Yeah.
Should you keep a safe distance? So, what is that role? So, or what is the role morphed into these days?
It's changing all the time. I wasn't when we were first starting this journey. I thought I don't have anything to do with dentistry and my other career. I can't really see myself working in a dental office. But then it quickly became apparent to me this isn't about if I'm in dentistry. This is our
Yes.
family business, right? So like I really wanted to succeed, and when we came, out to Vegas and
Mhm.
I met you and everything. It was also exciting. I think it was also
Yep.
just like the startup journey of going through the designs and really putting our stamp on it. And he wasn't. If I mean, I wasn't gonna have him just, like, sit in a room by himself and not ask not be interested, and I just found myself being very interested in it,
Yep.
and having a lot of fun with it as well, and, um, so my role has definitely
Morphs
evolved,
every day.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
morphs
different
every
every day, and also because sometimes, I mean, I have seen, like, Facebook posts of people saying, like, "Oh, if you see a husband and wife team, run,"
Yep.
So I was really I don't see myself as that, and I would hope that our team doesn't see me as that either.
Yes.
Um, m m
Oh yeah, I can see that dynamic sometimes. Like, oh, is she kind of the boss? But no, like this is family.
Right.
Like you've treated this like family.
Right. So my role, I mean, I'll help with the marketing, help with just being a support system. I also have been the tooth fairy. We go
Mhm.
around to different schools and I play ukulele and Dan reads and we kind of made up this whole
Song and dance,
story time for kids.
That's
So
awesome.
I have done a lot of that. I've
which is
developed
like a date night too, but during the day.
Yeah, we're
It's
always
like
like, "Oh, we have a date night."
I like that. I
Right.
like that.
Yeah.
Finding time whenever there is time.
Yeah, and then, I'll help with insurance verification, those types of things, like, our team member the other day said that she, had a lot of paperwork to catch up on, so I'll say, "Okay, I'm gonna
Yeah.
be here for the phones," and so it's always a little bit different, and I'm always wondering, how to act. And, in the beginning, I'm like, oh, do I sit in on the interviews? Do I sit out? Do I, like who
Yeah.
am I? So I honestly,
right.
I
What
can't
does she
say.
have the authority to say?
Right.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
honestly, like, yeah, we just, like, don't know, like, sometimes we're still figuring this
Yeah, we're
out,
still figuring it
but,
out.
like, who does our team go to for final decisions? Like, most of the
Yeah.
time it's been me, but I don't want it to always just be me because I value, of course, Michelle's opinion and also my team members.
Yeah.
We also have, you know, become hands off in certain aspects with giving them some freedom to make, important decisions by themselves.
Love that.
But I'm also
Yeah.
in every day, so it's not like I'm here, I kinda
Yeah.
I'm in a couple of days a week, pretty consistently, and, so, it changes, and I'm not sure as the team grows what it will be like. I did sit in on
Yeah.
a round of interviews for a hygienist, so, but
Yeah.
it is kind of a little bit of an interesting identity crisis being and
Yeah, and it's still new. It's a new
Yeah,
baby.
yeah.
Like it's there. What I love is like I'll brag. Like two of you, I see all their Facebook. So like if you don't know who Dr. Dan is, like you need to see Dr. Dan on Facebook. You embrace that model of like getting out there, connecting your community. Both of you, I see you all over, and I think that's so valuable for what you guys have accomplished in a short period of time. Tell me a little bit about and share with like some of the there's dream and reality. There's like I remember meeting you guys in Vegas and it's like, we're ready to go. Let's do this. And then, and then there's like a little bit of that reality. So the emotional side, there's working a lot. How do you avoid like the stress spilling over into the home? Working a lot of hours from that emotional perspective, especially in the beginning.
Yeah. You don't avoid it. You
Yeah.
just learn to manage it.
Yep.
And that comes with time and experience and seeing things more than once. So,
Yeah.
everything in the first year was for the first time. And once you get
Yep.
past, that first year, then you're like, okay, I've seen this. It's not the end of the world.
Yep.
The practice is not going to burn down right now. So, I think, it comes with experience and just seeing every situation once, and also having a community of friends in the industry and dentistry that you can bounce ideas off of. Have you seen this before? What have you done here?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's awesome. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah. The emotional side's always there. Yeah. There's, because there is that excitement. I remember opening up Ideal Practices 10 years ago, same thing. It's like exciting. And then there's like, there is a different part. And, my spouse, Megan, was a part of that as well. So the financial part is there too. There's always a little bit of stress. So like, I'm sure like you come out of dental school, you owe a couple dollars, and then you come to us and you go, and we say, you got to borrow a lot more to do this. So, was there any challenges that were there or discussions just about that, like internally from, the financial side? And because it is a big commitment.
I always like to joke that I was just the right amount of naive to start into dental practice, because if I had overanalyzed it too much, and I am guilty of paralysis by analysis sometimes for sure, but I knew what it would cost, but it was kind of such a comically large number that I was like, all right, what's the difference between, $500,000 and $1 million? Let's go for it. We got what it takes. We got good people, behind us, helping us with this. So, surprisingly, the financial part didn't scare me, even though we were building $1 million practice and building a new construction home, which is a whole nother set of stress. But like the financial,
that's a different podcast. Well, that's a different podcast. We'll talk about
that. That wasn't it. It was more just like every minute of every day since our vision call was about this startup. And so I would go to work. I'd be working at my associateship full time, come home. We got kids, dinner time, everything, bedtime. And then finally, then we'd get on, a video chat with one of the fine people at Ideal for, 1, 2, sometimes 3 hours. And I'm very grateful for the flexibility they had. But point is, you don't manage. You manage the stress just by getting used to things, but supportive spouse too.
How did the time thing work? That's a great topic, because I there is time, and like you have time in a lot of times with a startup, but I think everyone understands there is a big time commitment. You have long hours as a new owner. You've got maybe morning team meetings. You maybe have, I know you've done after hours events, weekend events. I'll call Michelle the spousal hero. Are there things that you've had to take over? And then how did you guys manage the time, within that? Because I'm sure Dan was pulled away into the practice. Both of you were there, and with 2 children as well. So I think that's a reality. Or boundaries and things like that you spoke about, or was it just like being present when you needed to be present at that particular time? Tell us a little bit about that time.
Yeah, I mean,
challenge or stress.
I mean, it definitely takes a lot of time. I will say that we are. I'm not sure about. First of all, Dan, like one of his biggest visions was to be able to be present with the kids and to make
and you
and me. No, but I mean, we were lucky in one way, is that he used to have a commute that was like an hour to an hour and a half, and now we live 10 minutes from the office, which was very purposeful. So So it's kind of like a give and take. Yeah, maybe he has to put more time in, but the commute, he's just home much earlier. So that's helpful. But there are definitely times where, with social media and things like that, he'll say like, "Oh, I see you're giving," like
he's posting right now,
or like sometimes, I'll come up with something, and like I was just thinking of this example. There was a time very early on where I said, "Oh, if you want to get more reviews, like I think that you should write a personalized message to every patient from the day, like a personalized text message." And then I didn't realize that was like not a great idea. It did work, but it was like then every night he was like sitting doing that. I was like,
during the worst time, which is like
it was like kids going to bed. He's like, I have to write my review text, and so that will happen where it's like, oh, I'm wearing my business hat. I'm like, this would be a great idea, and then in the moment, I'm like,
I need to get flicked in the head sometimes, figuratively from her, because I use social media a lot in my for marketing. And that brain, the marketing brain, never turns off. That's what keeps me. I don't want to say up at night, but like that's what follows me after 5 p.m. all the time, especially as a startup. You're always recruiting new patients, and I always have ideas for new reels, whether educational or silly, and I'm posting them during hours that are great for other parents to see, which take a few minutes during dinner time, during 7 8 p.m. And I do need reminders.
Or we were in Reading Terminal Market in Philly.
Oh yeah,
over the it was awesome.
Pick me up some Amish sticky buns next time you're there, if you would, please. They are my favorite.
And he was like, the kids were being crazy, it was wild, and it's like crowded. I'm wearing my jacket, I'm hot, and then he's like, just 2 minutes. Like, I'm just gonna go do a video, and I'm just like, okay, great, and I understand it, and I'm supportive of it. So we don't have any like set boundaries about it, but but I think what it is sometimes if I start losing him to the phone, I was like, can you just like let me know what you're doing? So like I know when you're gonna return. You know what I mean? Like okay, I'm just working on this for 20 minutes. Let me, then it's better than if I'm like, have I,
But I think that's a real look, for Michelle and Dan, for both of you. I think it's a real look because as a startup, it is all hands on deck, and like you got to be immersed in that. So what I could tell from the two of you is like there's that balance that exists. Like, okay, I got to go do this, but I'll say this: like, Dan, you have launched a successful startup practice. Your social media is great, and I think for the listeners, you have to understand like that's what you have to do. Yeah. We always say like the first 100 patients are on you as a client. No Google ads. Like you need to find those patients from day one. But see, by putting in that time now, look what you have now after a handful of months of what you're doing. And I'll say this, like, folks, he's fee for service as a pediatric dentist. Like, Dan, you're doing a lot, and it's accomplishing, but that's okay. We all get flicked in the head. That's what we get.
And I understand it for sure. And so it's interesting because he's, I'll get sucked into it too. Like sometimes I've said, oh, we should do a video or whatever. It is hard to not get sucked in a little bit because it's our livelihood.
I think for advice, it's in a healthy relationship and marriage going into it, like understanding that if like she gets mad at me or not bothered because of this, like because of like being in the middle of something, understand the place it's coming from. Like I know she's saying it because she wants to spend more time with me. She wants me to be with the kids. It's not just because she wants to arbitrarily be mad at me. If she didn't care, like if she didn't say anything, that would be more concerning.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, go get lost, please. Like, don't come back.
We don't need.
Yeah. And there is sacrifice. Like we all, there's sacrifice. Michelle, you've sacrificed to Dan. Like we all, as business owners have done startups, it's like there is that sacrifice, but I think it's always being present with one another, which I could tell like you guys have supported each other throughout this journey. So I think that's the great news is like, this is all reality that everyone needs to hear. Like these are the commitments that need to be made. These are the challenges that exist. But I think what you said earlier was that you didn't say it this way, but this is not just like Dan's practice. This is like kind of like a family future with the practice. So talk a little bit more about that because I think there's always like, okay, Dan, you go do this. It's practice, but you've really embraced it from, hey, this is our journey together. Yeah. Share some of your thoughts on that.
Yeah, we're in this together. This has to succeed. Seeing it at its very baby phase, and then seeing it, where it is now. I mean, I also have to be there for Dan. Especially in the beginning, you talk about the emotional side. In the beginning, it is absolutely terrifying.
That is real, folks. Yes, it is. Yeah. We prepare everybody. This will hurt. Yes, it's not easy.
But so, and I'm normally not the calm one, but I somehow like took that role over. I mean, I'm just being.
I'm usually. I'm normally the nervous one. Any Seinfeld fans out there? I'm the even Steven.
Yeah. One. Yeah.
And that certainly flipped when we opened.
Yeah. So I had to kind of put things into perspective for him a lot, and like, you're not going to be in the same place you are now that you are in a year. Like nothing ever stays the same. Like,
Yeah.
everything's going to be different. You're going to know more. Like he said, you're going to see more. And so now, like, I remember one day, there are a lot of highs and lows. Like, from one day, a bunch of patients cancel, and especially in the beginning, it was like you would like fall apart. Like it's like,
Yep.
the weekend felt like, like, oh
Yeah.
no, like these
Yeah.
canceled for Monday, and now like it's like, okay, we've seen that, and we can start to reach out and see if there are people to fill it. But
I would let, because we have advanced patient communication software now, and so I get text messages on Saturday and Sunday to my phone notifications. Cancel, cancel, cancel. And like in the beginning, when we didn't really have our
yeah,
script figured out perfectly yet, like we'd get a lot of cancellations over the weekend for Monday or Tuesday.
Yeah.
That would ruin my weekend. Oh my God, it just, it just took the life out of me. Time is our best friend, just like waiting for
yeah,
the recall cycles to
Yeah.
turn over. But
Yeah.
that I certainly let a lot of weekends in the beginning be ruined just by, not
Yeah.
having perspective.
yes,
But that's a reality.
Mhm.
Like folks, like those happens with startups. So I think it's real, like to hear this. Um, what is there one thing that surprised you, like just in the startup process itself, like as a married couple, or just even during the process, anything that kind of stood out that surprised you?
I would say that it's fun. Again, I don't like. I don't know that
I
he
didn't, I
would have.
didn't, I didn't, I didn't see that at first.
I don't think that he would have described it as fun at the beginning when everything was really tough. But I
Yeah.
always said to him, like, "Oh, it's like a game. Like we have to try different things and like see what works and what doesn't." And so, to me, it felt almost like a puzzle. And
I found building it so fun. I love the design and everything. And
Yep.
when it came to like building the schedule, and we are fee for service, so it's like slower to build. Um, that was like the cancellations. That was very demoralizing in the beginning, but Michelle had, a good perspective of like, let's troubleshoot this and figure it out.
the other thing that was challenging was that he had a great reputation in his associateship, and then we
Yep.
moved to a place where no one knew who he was. So we
Okay.
were not only, fee for service, but no one knew who he was. So he had,
And that's how you end up doing things like dyeing your hair blue.
no, but he had to start to build that reputation. But because it was hard to sometimes get people to come in because, you're saying, oh, it's going to be X amount of money, and they're like, well, I don't, why don't I go to this other person? But then you start to see people start to want to come back because they start to see a reputation being built, and the word travels, and so it's just like a little bit different. You get a little bit more confidence.
Yep.
In that regard, once you start to build the reputation. Also, Dan is a pajama dentist. Um,
Yes. What is the pajama dentist for the listeners?
yeah,
Pajama dentist was everything I didn't want to be, and now I love being it. So a pajama dentist is when you practice in or near the community that you live in. And
Right.
when I was trying to find a space, I said, I want to practice at least 30, like 30-ish minutes away from where I live. That way I have little separation,
Buffer.
buffer. When you go to the grocery store, you can wear pajamas and kind of not care what you look like, because you probably won't run into a patient. Well, when we found our office that was 10 minutes away, that kind of when we found an ideal space that was 10 minutes away, and all the other
Right.
demographics lined up, we kind of fell in love with not having a commute. And I flipped the script and I decided, all right, let's just go for it. And I was very scared to be living in this, in the same town where I practice,
Yep.
because I thought I would never be able to turn off the switch. Well, you never turn off the switch anyway as a business owner, so why not get good marketing out of it? And so
Yeah.
I'm a real person, I don't mind showing up to the supermarket in my pajamas and silly blue hair. I no, but like it has served as an advantage because I'm in my community. You know, every um, every interaction, every event is, sometimes an opportunity to spread the word about what we're doing just in an organic way, like organic outreach, and organic involvement in the community is free and more effective because you're not like meeting people under these pretenses of like, I'm here to sell you something. You're just,
you were there. You were going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
And I think there's that barrier that gets broken down sometimes. I think a lot of times there is like, you're behind the scenes, you're Dan. Behind the scenes, you can be Dan. And I think a lot of times it's hard to, I think a lot of people like patients or families around the area, it's like, they need to be able to look at you through that lens, not just, oh, it's Dr. Denowitz. It's just Dan. You could be that normal guy, even with blue hair, walking around.
Normal, I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So the pajama dentist, we talked about that at the course. I talked about that. You were one of the first people that ever got the copy of my book, the Startup Dentist book. And we talked about that. And I love the fact you embrace that. Again, there's no advantage, folks, or disadvantage to like, should you live in a community? But you're here, like it's become an advantage of being able to connect with the community. Does it allow you to turn things off? No, I still think the advantages outweigh the disadvantages of being there within a community. What are some of the things you do within your community? Okay, so I just got to bring it up. Tell everybody about the blue hair. So if you're not watching this, you're listening to this. Dr. Dan has blue hair. It looks beautiful. So it's kind of Smurf-like here. And one of the big things we talk about at Ideal Practices, we talk about the KRG. How do you want to be known? How do you want to be remembered? And what do you want to give back to? So the give is a big part of the connection to the community. And that's one big thing we develop with our clients nationwide. So Dan has a give that is personal to Michelle and their family. Mm-hmm. So he has blue hair. So what do you do?
So our give back is that we work to raise awareness and also research money for research towards a cure of type 1 diabetes, which my wonderful wife over here has and was diagnosed with about 3 years ago. The
organization is Breakthrough T1D.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Breakthrough T1D through various small and large community events to raise awareness and also better the lives of families who, people with T1D and also those, loved ones, family members. So we did their big event every year is a walk for awareness. And in Philadelphia, they do it at Citizens Bank Park where the Phillies play. You walk around the stadium and then inside right on the diamond, which is a really cool experience. And we wanted to make, a big impact this year. So we set a large goal, a large fundraising goal. And I said, if we can reach that number, I am going to dye my hair the color of Type 1 Diabetes Awareness Month, which is Smurf Blue for the month of November. So my receptionist, she has a background in cosmetology. She bleached my hair, and then we did electric blue. And we put, we documented the whole thing on social media, and it's been great and fun because now I'm like walking into my kids' like preschool pickup and going into our synagogue, and you get a lot of like laughs and smiles and a good conversation starter, and a great way to raise awareness. Even more so than the big event that we did, it's now like every day this month, and really probably the next month too.
Doesn't seem to be going away. I will say that.
Yeah.
It's pretty fresh. Yeah, right? Absolutely. I love it. Are there any do's and don'ts that you would say to couples going through this journey?
Do communicate. Do not hide what you're feeling. As a man, I definitely tend to want to mask the scary parts. I don't want to show my fear of of the realities of startup business, and when things don't go the way I want them to. Especially in the beginning, you kind of have these bad thoughts about like, did I get myself into the right thing? Is this going to work out? Is it not going to work out? And I'd hold that in, and then it would very much show on my face and my skin, and then Michelle would be there to listen. Thank God. There was something we referred to when we first moved down here and our house wasn't ready to move into yet. We were living in a temporary rental. It was one bedroom. It was insane for 2 adults and 2 kids, but that's besides the point. In the living room, there was a regular couch, and then on the other side of the living room, a
chair.
A chair, yeah, and we called it. It became belovedly known as the sad chair because I would. Yes, we laugh about it now. But we would be home after work, and I would just plot there and just sit there and listeners aren't going to see my face right now, but I would sit there with my eyes wide open and just like I don't know what just happened. I don't I don't know if this is going to work out. Like I wouldn't say that stuff out loud. It would just be showing on my face, and it would take me a little time of unwinding before I would open up to Michelle.
Yeah.
And that was the sad chair.
Yeah. I mean, it was a sad chair, but I would say don't think that you're not involved if you're not in dentistry. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can, and don't think you have to know right from the beginning. You can be involved in a small way. You can be involved in a big way. But I think don't let your partner go at it alone in terms of at least being able to talk to you about things and just realize that there are going to be difficult moments, and you might have to take on that role of you have to be a little bit of the rock, and I would say have an open mind, even if your role is you come to a tabling events, you never go into the office but you do tabling events, that's the thing. I think just seeing it as that family business rather than this is my spouse's thing. And of course, maybe it depends also how much you work as well, right? I work more part-time, so I'm able to do that. It was also kind of a decision that it kind of a fork in the road for my career. I realize I do continue to we'll see where it goes in the future, but to have my own thing, I work a couple days myself and to also be here because it's the family business. So just not seeing it as just that other person's thing. And again, if you are able to do that, if you're even if you have a very stressful job yourself as the spouse, just being an ear, don't let it be what's going on with that practice? We haven't, once a month, it's something that you're in together. However it is, even if you're just someone to listen.
Yeah, I think it's so important. And we've worked with so many spouses at Ideal Practices and where the spouse wasn't a dentist, but I still think the support needs to be there. And that's one thing we always try to understand is okay, what is the involvement of the spouse? We want them being engaged in this process because boy, it makes it a lot easier when you got somebody that's at least there as a sounding board, somebody there, like you said, as the rock, somebody there. And I talked to I'll say this, even after 10 years of owning Ideal Practices, it's there are still stresses in our business. And it's well, I could talk to my wife. A lot of times I talk to Megan about it. I'll say this as 10 years from today, you'll have these conversations and sometimes her face will kind of glaze over. She doesn't know, but she just listens. And sometimes I just need to be I just need to say this and talk to you about this. Yeah. But there's also, I get a different perspective sometimes, and it's having that person there is so important. And if you don't, that's fine. And just saying, I think from a marriage perspective, it's how do you balance all this going to a startup? So I love that. Okay. So here's what I'm going to end with. I'm going to chat through a few more things is kind of as a recap. I think communication, right? Communication is key. I think at every stage of the process, what's happening. You didn't mention any boundaries, but I think sometimes do you need to set some elements that are there? I think it's valuable to, and Dan, this will be something you should work on. So here's, an action item. So you're still, a client. So I'm giving you action items. Be Dr. Dan, be Dan the husband, be Dan the dad when you need to be those roles. And I always say that. And I know that takes time in the beginning. So I think just be honest with one another. You guys were very honest with one another. Where it's I need to work. You let Dan go do social media at Reading Terminal. which is always crowded and hot, no matter what
Exactly.
time of the year that it
So
is. Yes.
hot.
I think, but allow that outlet to be there. And I think the other thing is like reframe this process as a partnership. I think you talked about that is it's not just Dan's doing this practice thing on the side.
Yeah.
It's you guys have really said, well, this is a family business and we're going to treat it as such.
Yeah.
Do you have little dentists that are going to come up? You have any? With your children?
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Do our kids want to be dentists? One did for a little while, but I haven't
now
heard
he wants
that
to be
lately.
a genie.
He wants to be a singer.
Yes.
All
So
right.
yeah, potentially. Yeah. But they, the kids are very much a part of the practice too, and sometimes I take ideas from them. They're innocent kid minds come up with some really creative ideas that I literally have implemented in the practice.
Oh,
Yes.
and
And get them on the payroll, by the way, from a financial perspective, get them on the payroll too. Talk with your accountant about that. That is not accounting advice for those that are listening.
well, it's funny because once we were at a tabling event and our son was like chasing people down, like very aggressively giving our flyers. But I will say that I think 3.5, that's how old our daughter is. I think she's like off limits from future events. I adore her, but like at some point, and that's the thing is like, cause we want to have the whole family involved, but if you're doing tabling and you got the 3-year-old, like, that's
Too much.
yeah. It is sometimes, we don't want to pay for a sitter. We're trying to like money, things like that. But sometimes I just have to be like, this is next time.
Yeah.
Maybe when she's older. But
I love it. How long you been open now?
About
almost 17
months. Yeah, 18 months next month. Yeah.
How are you guys feeling now after 17 months? If you look back, like some of the emotional things that you went through, like how you feeling today?
Happy, and optimistic, for sure. The growth trajectory. It's certainly been encouraging. I'm really excited for the next step of growth in our practice, which is bringing on a hygienist in the coming months. So I'm very proud of like the relationship that we've developed with not just our community but also our team, and trying to now replicate that with adding, finally growing the team for the first time since our initial hires, is kind of the next thing that's been on my mind a lot, because we in our practice we place such a high stress on customer service, and taking time with patients and making sure that we get that right person is critical, and also keeping our current team happy and here.
Yeah. And you've realized your vision, like for folks like, fee for service is not easy, that's a different topic for a different time. I'll talk through fee for service versus those elements, but you were committed to that vision. And like, I'm so proud that our team got to play a role and continue to play a role with you guys. And I'm so happy that you got to spend this time here today and take time away. Give us, where can people find you? I can tell you where where can they find Dr.
Yeah. If you want to follow along my journey, which is always changing and evolving, you can find me on Instagram and TikTok at Dr. Dan, Your Kid's Dentist. And on Facebook, it's my practice name, Voorhees Pediatric Dentistry.
Love it. Folks, starting a dental practice is one of the biggest professional decisions you can make, and it can have great effects, but it has effects on your marriage. But here's the truth. You can navigate the stress, the long hours, and the pressure if you communicate, set expectations, and support each other intentionally. And when you get on the other side of this, practice stabilizes, you've got a team that's solid, your patient base can grow, and you can everyone can look back on this journey and say, you just didn't build a business, but you built something that maybe even strengthened a partnership between between you and your spouse. So I'm really proud. So awesome stuff. Dan, Michelle, thank you for spending time in between patients here today. I truly appreciate it. Thanks for listening today. If this episode resonated with you, leave a rating. Check out any show notes for any resources that we talked about next time, because I'm going to talk about fee for service. And I've got a great guest who has started her practice as in-network, but now has a fee for service practice. And we're going to talk about that process and what that is, because a lot of people have that choice. Should I do this or should I do this way? So don't check us out there. So next time we're going to dive into fee for service or in network. How do I get there? So I'll see you guys there.